Welcome back to More Law on Fox 19, your legal questions live, with local broadcaster and award-winning reporter Deb Haas and Cincinnati personal injury attorney Don Moore, recognized by Ohio super lawyers. More answers, more help, more law on Fox 19.
Welcome back to More Law on this Monday morning, and our guest today, Mike Weber. We're discussing what to do if you've been hurt on the job and the workers' compensation impact of that. Thanks for being with us.
Again, thank you for having me. I greatly appreciate it.
And Don, I think you wanted to talk about, you mentioned that there are specific dollar amounts. If somebody's been, if something, I guess, catastrophic happens, that there are specific dollar amounts that the person would receive.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Deb. For personal injury cases like I handle, we go to a jury, and a jury decides what the individual value would be of that particular person's injury. But in workers' compensation, they've got specific values, and we have a little graphic here, and it's like a finger, an eye, a foot, a hand. There's just dollars and cents. And I was talking to Mike about that a little bit ago, and it's kind of a surprise. This is how much your hand is worth. And I'm thinking, what happens if you play piano on the side besides your regular job, you lose your hand? It's worth the same as somebody who doesn't do that at all. Mike, how do we deal with this?
Well, I think the values that are listed are somewhat arbitrary. I think that when they were created by the legislature, and that they were their idea of a measurement of the loss of use or the amputation of that particular body part. I'm not aware of any real medical that was used to substantiate that, but that's just unfortunately how workman's comp is. Of course, in addition to that, you do have full medical coverage for the rest of your life if necessary for those injuries. You have your lost wages, you have other benefits called permanent partial disability that you can apply for, but that is what they would pay you if you lose the use or have an amputation.
So if you can't toss with your kid in Little League, that's not part of the package?
Unfortunately, there's nothing you can do on that.
Right,
Okay.
because there has to be some limit. There has to be some, concrete.
It's concrete.
It certainly is. I hope that I don't have to go there and find out what those numbers are. But now we have Etta in the 7 Mile area. Etta, you had a question for us about being hurt on the job?
My stepfather, he was hurt on a job back in '09. And they sent him to all their, doctors and psychiatrists and stuff like that. And I was just wanting to know, how long does it take for them to say that, he's obviously hurt on the job, he had hip surgery, and he's, like you said, he's healing and trying to fight this at the same time, and he was the breadwinner of the family, brought the money in and stuff, and, money's hard with them right now, and I just want to know, how long does it take for them to decide on a case like this?
It's a rough road to be on.
Absolutely. You should be able to get any particular issue in workman's comp into a hearing at the Industrial Commission, which is where they have the administrative hearings, really within no more than 45 to 60 days. So it just kind of depends on what your question is, what the exact issue is. Are you not getting treatment? Are you not getting paid wages? Do you not have the conditions in the claim? But by filing motions and paperwork, you should be able to have a hearing within 45 to 60 days on just about any issue.
Do people run it? Go ahead.
No, you go.
Well, I was just going to say, do people run into that a lot where, I'm just one person. So if I'm working for this big employer, it's easy for them to just keep putting me off. It's hard for me to get done what needs to be done.
Absolutely. You run into delays and stall tactics and all kinds of things with these kind of claims, and you have to just understand that, if you file the right paperwork and you know what the rules are and what the system provides for, you can get in front of a judge and you can get results there, because those judges are, they're impartial. They're not going to rule in one direction or the other. They will weigh the merits of your issue.
Mike, if the employer wants to appeal a hearing officer's decision, how long does that process take?
Well, the first level is called the DHO, District Hearing Officer, and that hearing, if it involves loss of wages and you win, you will get paid even if the employer does appeal that.
Okay. The
second level is SHO, Staff Hearing, and you would usually have an appeal hearing within 30 to 45 days of the appeal. And medical does not get paid until you go to a staff level and get a staff level decision.
Okay, so you get the money. You get the money to make your house payment, or at least a percentage of what your normal wage would be, while it's in appeal. But the medicals aren't paid until the appeal's heard.
Right.
Got it.
Great. All right, now let's check in with Bonnie in Cincinnati. Bonnie, you were hurt on the job.
Right. I had carpal tunnel surgery.
Can you tell us what your question is now?
My question is, this happened in August. I've received 2 checks from the company, which is self-insured, and that's all that I've gotten. Am I supposed to be paid for the rest of my money?
So you received 2 checks. Was it to cover the cost of the surgery, and they had said there would be more checks and there haven't?
No, they never told me any reason I was getting these 2 checks. They weren't enough to pay for my wages or whatever. They have paid most of the medical, but I never received any money.
Bonnie, do you have anybody working on that case for you?
I do not. That's what I needed to know. Do I need a lawyer?
Okay. Well, Mike, I think maybe one way we can help her is to tell her why the idea of why she would get perhaps just 2 checks rather than some sort of regular payment, and then 2, what steps she may need to take.
Yeah, absolutely. In your situation, you should be getting paid every 2 weeks. Now, of course, it's important that your doctor's filled out the C-84 form that certifies you as being off of work for the period that you're off of work. And in addition to that, there are other benefits where you could go for what's called permanent partial disability, kind of a disability payment for the fact that you may not be back at 100%. But as far as your lost wages, yeah, you should be entitled to that, and it may be necessary to file a motion to go in front of a judge to have that judge rule on that.
Okay. Great. We have another caller now. We have next on the line Jim in Independence. Jim, you fell on the job and you've been trying to find an attorney without any luck. Is that right?
Well, yeah, I spoke to a couple, and they just don't want to fight the government. I was told before I got on the air here that I'm only allowed to say government, but let's put it this way. It's rain, sleet, snow, or shine. And I was on the job one day, and I fell down the steps, and I hurt my back. I've had 2 back surgeries, fusions on my back. I'm receiving part of my pay in workman's comp, and I just can't find a lawyer to fight the government. No one wants to take the case. Their doctors say that I am hurt. My doctors are saying that I'm hurt. It's from the job. It's from the accident, and just can't have no luck finding anybody who wants to take the case.
So Jim, just let me ask you a couple of questions. Have you gone to lawyers who do workers' compensation specifically?
Yeah, I spoke to several, and I don't want to mention any names, but
yeah, please don't.
I spoke to several, and they just don't want to take on the government.
So, and the reason they gave you specifically was, we don't want to fight the government. Is that right?
That's exactly right. They just don't want to take on the government in this particular part of the government. The old pony.
We're with you.
All right.
We got you, Jim.
Listen,
All right, yeah.
Mike.
Well, I thought I wasn't allowed to say that. So.
Okay, Mike. I've never heard that before. It seems to me if there's a good case, we've got a phone book full of lawyers. We got websites full of lawyers. Lawyers referral service. There's tons of places to get lawyers. What do you think Jim's problem is?
It's the federal government. It's federal workers' comp. He's not Ohio. He's not Kentucky or Indiana. Federal workers' comp, unfortunately, and I get this question a lot, is another universe unto itself, and it's not a good universe to be in. There are not attorneys that practice federal workers' comp. That statute is very restrictive. It doesn't entice any attorneys to come into it.
Let's talk just a little bit more about that after the break.
Yeah.
I think we've got to go right now.
I think we've got to go to a break here on More Law. We'll be right back in just a few minutes. Stay with us. The Kentucky and Ohio Bar Associations require we give the addresses of the attorneys on the show. Here you go. Mike Weber, Dickey and Bellman, 1726 Young Street. Don Moore, the Moore Law Firm, Nimitzview Drive, Cincinnati 45230. You wanted to wrap up, Mike?
Yeah, I just wanted to say to that caller on the federal claim, sometimes we have to refer as far as Cleveland to find an attorney that'll take a federal claim. It's unfortunate.
All right, thanks for being with us.
here.
We will be
Great.
here next weekend,
Thank you.
next week talking about traffic accidents. Have a good week.